Welcome back to the Law Show. Bob Kerrigan with you, and we were discussing the dark money behind the Amendment 6. And I mentioned Associated Industries of Florida, and it's a very obviously well known organization. They have good people that work there, so I didn't mean to disparage the organization at all, but they're behind these business initiatives, which they have every right to be. But the problem with Amendment 6 is the people that put the money up, no one knows who they are. But we do know this about Associated Industries, that they endorsed a law that was passed earlier this year that requires citizens group to collect more signatures. Okay, you got to get more signatures to get these on the ballot in pursuit of a place on the ballot. And it shortens the time period during which they can count from 2 years to one. That's very hard to do. You got to move lightning fast to get enough signatures now to get a constitutional amendment on the ballot. So they've been trying to limit this for years. I mean, organized business has been trying to eliminate this for years, the ballot initiatives, but they've made it almost impossible to get them on now. But then they came along with this great idea that, well, if one slips through, then we'll kill it by making it not effective until the voters vote again on it. It's just preposterous that you vote for something and they don't like it, and so they're going to make you vote again. That's what this amendment says. I can't imagine anybody voting for this, because you're voting away your right to affect the Florida Constitution to make it better, where you can't get things done in the legislature. It isn't just my view, although I did say absolutely that the views expressed here are my own and not shared in some cases by even my own law partners, but we all are entitled to our opinions. So, in support of mine, we have the League of Women Voters and the spokesperson, Patricia Brigham, president of the League of Women Voters of Florida, denounced the shadowy committee that has flouted campaign finance laws by concealing every dime of the nearly $9 million it raised and spent. $9 million. Well, we just want to put it on the ballot, and we want people to know that it's something that will make it better for them, and then they can be more informed, they can be more educated, and we can help them. This is so condescending and insulting to voters, but that's the pitch they've been using. The public should know who's funding these initiatives that go to the ballot. I agree with the League of Women Voters, absolutely. Brigham said in a telephone interview, there should be as much transparency in these as possible. Our antenna go up when we are kept in the dark about who's footing the bill. This really doesn't speak well for the people behind us. We don't know who they are. Nobody has any idea who's behind this. And yet they're proposing a ballot amendment, number 6, that takes away your right to vote by making you vote again. And it has to have the same 60% vote in the next general election 2 years later. A colossally bad idea. All right. Now we're going to go to a couple of other things that I wanted to share with you. First of all, text us or email us whenever you want to on any subject you want us to cover or look into, including investigative type matters. We will look into things that we are alerted to. We're not an investigative law firm as such, but we do public service work. And if something is going on that's bad, nobody is doing anything about it, if you'll let us know, we'll be glad to consider it and see if we can do something to help. Kerrigan, Estes, Rankin, McLeod, Thompson is a regional law firm. We're located across the Panhandle. We primarily address cases involving serious injury and deaths as they result from a variety of sources: automobile accidents, trucking accidents, airplane accidents, about any kind of an accident where an injury results. We also represent people in medical malpractice cases, products liability cases, and other cases where there's an injury. So we're glad to talk to you. There's no obligation on your part if you call us to review a case. We likewise have no obligation to accept the case. We only represent people who have serious injuries or where a death has occurred. We do not represent people with sprained legs or a sore arm or hot coffee spilling on them or anything else. We don't file nonsense lawsuits. We only represent people who have had bad things happen to them that was not their fault, and that they are seeking fair and just compensation. We used to say in our law firm a fair settlement was no accident, and it's not. You have to have competent legal counsel to represent you. All of the partners at Kerrigan, Estes, Rankin, McLeod, Thompson are board certified by the Florida Bar. We have the highest ethical and legal rating by Martindale-Hubbell. That is an independent rating service that rates lawyers all over the nation. We have been featured in Best Lawyers in America, and partners in our firm have been selected as the Outstanding Trial Lawyer of the Year by Best Lawyers in America. We have also been featured in a number of other rating services. All of this is available by independently Googling that or by looking at our website, Kerrigan.com. All right, I want to talk to you a little bit about social media. This was very interesting. This is from Consumers Reports, the latest publication of it, which I can't see the date right here. I'm not sure when it is. October of 2020. So let me read you some interesting things. And it's dealing with how to spot misinformation online. And there's plenty of that out there. So here's what they have a little way to remember, helpfully remember it anyway. It's SIFT, stop. If something you read or see triggers a strong emotion for you, such as a surprise, anger, sadness, take a pause. Some posts aim to elicit a strong emotional reaction in order to override your critical thinking. I, for the SIFT analysis, I, investigate the source. F, find better coverage. In other words, whatever the subject is, go look around. Don't just, I cannot tell you the number of people who will send something to me and say, can you believe this? Look at this. And some outrageous thing. Someone's a communist or someone's a right-wing conspirator or something, whatever. It's without any basis at all, just somebody wrote it. And it's sent to me as if this is some kind of independently, factually determined. Well, it's not. And we have a proliferation of that now. Just massive amounts of misinformation on both sides. It's not one political issue here. It's on both sides. It's just the internet. It's the way we communicate. It's so easy to communicate misinformation now to millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, instantly. So be careful with it. And fine, trace the claims, quotes, and media. Some of the most insidious misinformation simply takes the truth out of context. Click on the source links you see in online articles, or paste an emotive quote or soundbite into a search engine to look for the fuller quote or video. In other words, taken out of context, misrepresented what is being said. So, what are the various ways that this is categorized? I strongly recommend Consumers Reports, by the way. They don't sponsor this program, but I do highly recommend them. It says, which platforms allow false information? Okay, there are 4 subjects: political, social, health, and the virus, the COVID-19, voting, census, and manipulated media. Means allowing stuff to be switched around, faces being substituted for other people, just manipulation of the medium, okay? So Facebook, they have it allowed sometimes or prohibited, okay? Facebook. On political, social, allowed. On health, the COVID-19, allowed. Now this is allowing misinformation to be disseminated to the public. On the voting census, they prohibit it. And on manipulated media, they prohibit it, okay? Instagram, exact same thing. Fully allow political, social statements to be made without any verification, could be right or wrong. And health communication the same way. Same way with YouTube, except YouTube also allows manipulated media. The other two, Facebook and Instagram, don't. And Twitter, same thing, only they also allow manipulated media. So both YouTube and Twitter are notoriously unreliable, for sure, with manipulated media. That's just the most, to me, the most insidious aspect of this method of communication is manipulating the media. All right, on Reddit, they have, and by the way, I should say that on Twitter and YouTube, both the manipulated media are sometimes, not all the times. That's only fair to them. They're sometimes. Whereas Facebook, Instagram, it's never. They do not permit it. All right, looking at Reddit, Reddit is political and social. They allow it, and also fully allow it on discussion of the virus. So you can have misinformation coming out of Reddit relative to the voting census and to the virus. Snapchat, this is one of the best. Snapchat has sometimes allowed political, social statements to be made that are in error, but sometimes that's the least of all of these social medias. WhatsApp, it gets bullets across the board. It allows everything. I mean, everything to be manipulated media, census information, health information, social, political. It allows everything with misrepresentation. WhatsApp, I wouldn't believe anything on WhatsApp, no matter what they put out there. I don't believe it. And on TikTok, very interesting. TikTok prohibits information about the COVID-19, eliminates the distorted information on the voting census, and it eliminates manipulated media. All of those, and has the smallest allowed for political, social, which is the smallest one of all of these social medias. And it was also interesting that there's been such an assault on TikTok because of the ownership of it and whatever, but they have by this Consumer's Report, they've had a really good history of protecting against misinformation on TikTok. Okay, so we got a minute or so here. I'm just going to highlight something which we will cover in more detail, but just to tell you what's coming up on the Law Show in coming programs. And that is your COVID-19 travel toolkit. Tells you about how to protect yourself on airplanes, trains, cars, rental cars, taxis, and don't take any cruises. I mean, I'd like a cruise, but don't take them. They're not ready for us yet with the problems with the virus. You've been watching The Law Show. Bob Kerrigan, your host, and we're here every Sunday morning at 9:30. Our firm specializes in serious injury and death claims. We have offices across the Panhandle. We will evaluate the case without charge or obligation to you, and you do not pay unless we make a recovery. And the recovery is paid to you, then you are obligated to pay us a fee for the work that we've done. That's all provided by contract. It's very clear, it's in writing, and it's the contract approved by the Florida Supreme Court. So until next week, Bob Kerrigan saying thank you very much for watching, and we hope you'll join us next week for The Law Show.